Jai Jai Masters. People think that spiritual growth, spirituality, life is difficult. Just while you're in here tonight, I dare you to open up, empty your concepts and views, and let's talk about the fact that spiritual growth is not difficult. Life is not difficult. You make it difficult, but it's not difficult. Even the deepest spiritual growth. Where do we start? You have to start with facts. I'm not interested in beliefs. I don't care about theories and beliefs and concepts and views and opinions, and they just don't interest me. I've been alive too long to see them change. You read one book, you think different. Read another, you think different. You meet somebody, you think different. You hear somebody, you think different. It's real easy for it to change, isn't it? Fall in love with somebody, all of a sudden everything's different. All your beliefs, your hopes, your dreams, you change your religion. So let's drop that stuff. And let's start with some basic truths. Here's a basic truth. Your experience in life has to do with what comes into your consciousness. If it doesn't come into your consciousness, it doesn't exist for you. If you've never read a book, you don't know anything about it. If you've never heard somebody or met somebody, you don't know anything about them. If you never saw a certain type of tree, it's not in your realm of understanding. Therefore, your experience in life is where your consciousness falls. I don't care where it falls. I'm not judging it. It's not about good or bad or right or wrong or anything. Drop all that stuff, just while we're here. It's just the reality that your consciousness is like a light. Where it shines and illumines, that's what you see. That's what you experience. We talked last time how you don't know anything. You don't know anything. None of you. None of us. Why? Because you only know what you've experienced. How can you know what you haven't experienced? And you haven't experienced anything. What do you mean? Well, at this moment or any moment in your life, you're experiencing what's coming in through your senses. How much is not coming in through your senses? What's the percentage difference between what you're experiencing versus what the potential there is to experience? It's a joke. And that is what has happened every moment of your life. You've had this tiny little meaningless amount of experiences, and they're meaningless. I used to study statistics when I was in school. There was a term for it. It was called statistically insignificant. Ever heard that term? It is statistically insignificant. If you're experiencing 1 out of 700 trillion things that you could be experiencing all over the universe, all over the earth, everywhere, you ain't picking up nothing. Are we willing to be honest? Therefore, if every moment you're picking up nothing, the sum of nothing is nothing. So you think you know something, you don't. Nor do I, nor does anybody. You haven't picked up enough data. A computer only knows what data was put into it. Well, the data you have is nothing. You say, but I know what I know, but you don't know what you don't know. And what you don't know is 700 trillion times larger than what you know. Okay, there's a nice truth. Now, let's leave that alone. And let's just say, okay, you do experience what you're experiencing. Albeit very small, you're still experiencing it. What is it you're experiencing? What comes into your consciousness? If you're sleeping and all kinds of stuff goes on in your room, you're not experiencing that, even though it's going on. Your consciousness has to be aware. It's called awareness. What you're aware of is what you experience. Okay, very good. So that's what your consciousness is shining on. That's a reality. That's what you experience. But the truth of the matter is, and I'll do it very quickly because all of you are very advanced, you're not experiencing what's in front of you. Your mind is so powerful and so strong and so interesting that it's yucky all the time. Both about what's in front of you. Oh, look, there's a horse. Oh, there's a car. That looks like the car I used to. Blah, 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 blah. You're experiencing that, aren't you? You don't just experience what comes in your senses. You experience what's going on in your mind. And there's a lot going on in your mind all the time. And by the way, it's not always about what's in front of you. That would be interesting enough. I bring that up in The Untethered Soul. Why is the mind talking about what's in front of me? Oh, look, there's a dog. That's red. I know there's a dog. I know it's red. I saw the thing. Why are you talking about it? Well, you go figure it out. I took a stab at it in The Untethered Soul. And Living Untethered goes very deep into it. But net result is, let's just keep it simple. You experience it, it comes into your senses, and you have this mind that is another thing you can experience while you're experiencing the outside. Have you ever been reading a book and noticed that you didn't read a single page? Come on. Well, I don't understand. You turned the page. You went there and you go, I got to turn it back. Not one single. Why? Because the consciousness was not receiving what you were, even if you were reading it. The dog went up, no, the mind's doing something else. There's something else going on in your mind that consciousness is more interested in. Therefore, even though this act of supposed reading is taking place, nothing's happening because it didn't get to the consciousness. So you, the consciousness, are what you experience. So one you can experience is the world outside, but you don't. The vast majority of what you experience is the yakety yak of your mind. So how would I just stop for a second and tell you, your mind determines what you experience. If somebody's talking to you and telling you something, your mind's saying, I don't listen to this guy. I got to be somewhere. Oh my God, he's taking so long. This is ridiculous. That's what you're experiencing. That is the experience your consciousness is having, because your consciousness is wherever you put it, and your mind is very distracting. So basically, you have the world that you can pay attention to, you have the mind you can pay attention to, and we pay a lot of attention to the mind. So that's your experience in life. I also, in the new book, we make sure we add emotions. Do any of you experience emotions? Are they powerful? Do emotions distract you? Yeah, that's for sure. So your mind can distract you, the world can distract you, your emotions can distract you. In other words, you're distracted. So do you have the choice of where you put your consciousness? Sometimes, but very rarely. All right? I have to study now. You have to fight to put your consciousness there, and sometimes it goes away anyways. Okay, so you do have consciousness, and the purpose of this is the experience of your life is what you are conscious of. And I'm telling you, and you know, that does not necessarily mean what's in front of you, because there's this noise going on inside of you that's very distracting, which are your thoughts and your emotions. Okay, fine. So if my life, we're talking about your life. We're not talking about some little thing. We're talking about you were born and you're going to die. And in between that time, you experience things. And those experiences are what your life is. Why would you say that? Because if you didn't experience it, it has nothing to do with your life. It doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. What's going on in Timbuktu right now, or on Saturn, or on Mars. There's a lot of places that have nothing to do with you, aren't there? But your consciousness experiences this tiny little bit of stuff, which is what's coming through your senses, your thoughts, your emotions, and whichever the most powerful at any given moment, that's your life. That's saying, that's your life. How is it? That's what the new book asks. What's it like in there? I'm telling you, I don't care how high you think you are. I don't care how much you meditate. I don't care how happy you are with your relationship. It's not so nice in there. It gets awkward in there, doesn't it? It gets scary in there. It gets insecure in there. It gets jealous in there. It gets fearful in there. It gets everything. In other words, you can tell me, I'm doing okay. I got married and I'm happy with my husband or wife and I got a nice family. I got this and that. But what if something went wrong there? Well, then I'm not okay. Then guess what? In my book, you're not okay. If you need things outside of you to be okay inside of you, then you're not okay inside of you. I'm not saying they're wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. But obviously, if you're not well inside and you need something outside to make you feel better, you're not okay inside. And you know it. That's why you're afraid of loss. You're afraid somebody doesn't love you. You're afraid that you get older and you won't look so attractive. You're afraid that you're a singer and your voice will go away. You're afraid. Whatever it is that you need to be okay, I guarantee you, you're afraid it won't be there. You're afraid to open your mouth amongst your friends that you might say something stupid. Let's be honest. I want to be honest. So you're in there, and that's what's going on. And therefore, what you end up doing is struggling with life to make it be a way that you feel better inside. It's not okay. If you were okay, you wouldn't be doing this. You'd just be okay. Can we define that for a moment? Because nobody will tell you this. What does it mean to be okay? You're filled with joy all the time. You're okay. If I asked you a question, what does it mean to be healthy? Well, you can take a stab at that. It means to not be sick. It means not to go to the doctors all the time. It means not to limp. It means to be able to be healthy. You're healthy. You feel whole and complete and you're well and you can do anything you want to do. You don't have to think about your body all the time. That's what it means to be okay inside. You don't need anything. What do you need if you're healthy? Well, eat reasonable and you're healthy. Go about your business. What do you need if you're okay inside? Nothing. I mean, okay, you need food. I'm talking about the basics. I'm just saying you're okay. You're filled with love. You're filled with joy. You're truly okay. You're not worried about anything. How is it? Come on, let's talk honest. You're not worried about anything ever for the rest of your life. Well, why wouldn't I worry? Because worry means I'm not okay and I might not get what I need to be okay. Or something that might happen outside and then I'm not okay. If you're okay, you're okay. If you're healthy, you're healthy. No one will talk to you that way. That is your natural state. You're complete, you're whole within yourself. What's the problem? Why don't I live that way? Because of your mind. Well, I have a good mind. Yes, you do. You have the human mind. I speak very highly of the human mind in the new book. The human mind is phenomenal. My God, you dug in the earth, you took dirt, molded it together into a rocket ship and flew to the moon. You're pretty serious. That's serious stuff. You're unbelievable. There's nothing else on this planet. Nothing. Not the dolphins. I don't care what you say about the dolphins. They can't do that. There's not a single dolphin that flew to the moon on its own. We could put it in a rocket ship, but no, it didn't get there. You have a brilliant mind. So why do I say the problem is the mind? Let's go back to where we were. You're in there, and your experience in life is what you're experiencing, and that's your life. The sum total of your learned experiences. That's what it is. That's what you're experiencing. So what are you experiencing? I'm telling you, and I hope you're there or you wouldn't be here, you're experiencing your mind. It just talks and talks and talks. I like it, I don't like it. What happens if your mind says, I don't like him? You don't like him. You don't want to be there. I feel awkward around this person. I don't want to be around them. But they're going to be at the party. I'm not going. That's your mind. You haven't been to the party. You met the person 2 years ago and you didn't have a good interaction for 5 minutes. And this is what your mind says. You're not experiencing that. It's not happening. It's happening in your mind. The mind is creating the illusion of your reality. What do I like? What do I don't like? Will this happen? What will happen? Will he like me? Will he not like me? What should I wear? Oh my God, I wore the wrong thing. Who says anything's wrong or right? Your mind does. I had somebody tell me recently that they're concerned about building a house. They're going to build a house and they're worrying about everything. And I said to them, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. If you make some choices, they're afraid to make the wrong choices. Color, size, this, that, whatever. Well, if you make the choice and you decide, who decides that it was the wrong choice? Who decides that it should have been a different color? Who decides that the countertop should have been marble instead of whatever? Okay? Who decides this? You do. Yes or no? Well, then just decide that you like it. If this is the drama that I might make something that I don't like, you're the person who decided if you like it or not. Just your mind just said, I don't like it. You understand? People do that all the time. I have a relative redesigned the kitchen 4, 5, 6 times before it was acceptable. Took all the cabinets out, put all new ones in, different colors, cabinets, everything. People do that. I was a builder early in my life. I absolutely have met such people. Who decides that you made the right decision? You do. Yes or no? If you decide that you made the wrong decision, how do you feel? Terrible. Every time you see it, it's the wrong cabinet, wrong thing. The knobs, oh my God, how could I pick those knobs? I don't like those knobs at all, and they feel funny. What are you doing? What if you decide you do like it? Then you're happy. So let's see. If it's your decision, and you can decide anything you want, well, I'm glad you're laughing, okay? You can decide anything you want. Why would you decide to suffer? Why would you decide, I don't like it? Because the minute you decide you don't like it, guess what? You don't like it. Who said so? Your mind. Your mind's doing it. And you sit there and say, well, wait a minute. I didn't decide I don't like it. Who did? My mind. I didn't say to mine, now mind, don't like this. Come on, let me hear you not like it. I didn't do that. I just walked in, and yesterday you liked it. She liked it, he liked it. And now I walk in and it says, I don't like it. You didn't do that. Your mind did that. I told you, you're experiencing what your consciousness experiences. So you're experiencing what your mind said. So your mind is capable of making your life a wonderful place or a terrible place. I know people, and you probably do too, who got married and then on their honeymoon, they won't tell anybody. I'm not sure. Maybe I rushed into this. Imagine waking up in the bed at your wedding night. Oh my God, who's that? Oh, I don't know. Is it possible? Answer me. It doesn't take much, does it? That mind just says whatever it wants to say. So you wake up and you realize you are experiencing your mind. You're not experiencing reality. You're experiencing your mind. There's no reality about like and dislike. That's just mind. I did this in the book. I hate to do it to you, because not all of you study the natural sciences. There's this thing called the periodic table. You ever seen it? Periodic table with all the elements, 108 elements. Which one of those do you like and which don't you like? I'm serious. It's a stupid question, isn't it? Every single thing you look at is made out of those elements. There's not a single thing added to those elements. Every single thing you've ever looked at in your whole life is just a collection of those elements put together a different way. And you've got this whole thing. I don't like it. So you start to wake up and you say, who's doing that? Your mind. The world does not do that. The world is just a collection of atoms put together by natural forces. And by the way, your senses don't care either. Your eyes are like a camera. You think the camera cares what it took a picture of? It is your mind that's doing this. And so you wake up, and I hope this helps, and you realize, oh my God, it's true. My mind is telling me whether I'm happy or not. My mind is telling me whether I like it or not. My mind is telling me whether I made the right decision or not. My mind is telling me whether I look good or don't. My mind is telling me everything. And then based on what my mind is telling me determines the quality of my life. It's not the world. But because my mind does this, I have to manipulate everybody and everything in my world so that the mind says I like it. It's just amazing. The mind determines the quality of your life. Why? I told you your life is made up of the sum total of your experiences. You're not experiencing the world. You're experiencing what your mind says about the world. If I send you to Paris and your mind says, I want to go to Paris. Oh my God, if I go to Paris, that'd be unbelievable. Or I'll send you to Paris, right, and there'll be a roach in the hotel room. And you can't get it out and you don't know how to speak French and all of a sudden you have a terrible experience. Wake up. You're doing this. Your mind is doing this. And what people do, and this is very sad, is they don't understand this. They don't realize you're experiencing your mind. And then because you have no control over your mind, because you don't understand you're experiencing your mind, you go out there, in a sense, your mind's your guru. It says, do this, do this, do this. Make her like you. Make this happen. It tells you what to do so that it will be okay. It says, this is what has to happen for me to be okay. Go out there and make it happen. And you do it all the time, don't you? I don't like it here. I just don't like it here. Here, right here. I don't like what he's saying. I don't like it. You might say, I don't like it. I don't like it. Or I want to leave. Well, you're gone. Bye. And you say to yourself, I have the right, you have every right in the world to be completely lost in your mind. What do you mean? What if your mind says, I like it? Then you stay. Whoa, that's weird. Maybe you better figure out why your mind says I like it or I don't like it, since it's running your life. And what you're going to find out, and the new book goes into it very detailed, so I won't, but the new book goes into why does your mind say what it says? Why does your mind like some things and not other things? And how addicted are you to what your mind says? And I'm telling you, you're completely addicted to what your mind says. I want to see you actually live what I'm telling you. Don't listen to your mind. It doesn't know what it's talking about. You want to have a good time? Enjoy your life. If it's raining out and your mind says, oh, it's raining, I wanted to go camping, just tell your mind, okay, listen, I love the rain. I love the rain. I really don't want to go camping anyways. Yes, I did. No, you don't. It's just, what if it said, oh, goody, it's raining. I felt tired anyways when I got up. This is God's grace. It's raining. Just do that. Everything's God's grace. You can do that. You can do anything you want with your mind. What your mind says by default, it's meaningless. It's based upon past experiences that you had, maybe when you were 3 or 5 or 8 or something like that. If your mother took Barbie away too soon or wouldn't get you here, your mom wouldn't get you a Vegas Barbie. That's what you wanted, a Vegas Barbie. You know, that was when you were 12 or whatever it is. Now you got problems with Vegas, you got problems with it. You want to go to Vegas? No, I don't want to go to Vegas. No. You don't realize it left impressions. It left impressions on you from 2 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old. The boyfriend left you, this happened, that happened, the ex-husband. All these things left impressions on you. That's why your mind says what it says. There's nothing holy about what that mind is saying about like and dislike. They are just impressions that you couldn't handle them when they took place. They left impressions on your psyche, on your mind, and now the mind talks from there. It says, oh yeah, here, this is my favorite. We're married, we go to Niagara Falls on our honeymoon, we're the happiest people that ever lived. Fast forward 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 years, and all there's is fighting and disagreement, and it's terrible. And finally you go to a marriage counselor and they say, find something that you all enjoyed and try to do it again. Please do not go back to the same hotel room in Niagara Falls where you went 10 years ago. You're not the same people. It's not the same thing. You think that because you liked it then, you're going to like it now. You go back to a high school reunion 30 to 40 years later looking forward to see Bob or Sally. You wouldn't even recognize them. You know, they don't look the same. Oh, you've changed a lot. Yes, it's been 40 years. You stored these impressions. You stored these things in your mind. And now your mind will naturally, it's based on the data that it has in there. That data is old. That data is meaningless because it's so small. And you just start to catch on. Your mind is not something that's worth letting it ruin your life or letting it run your life. So it says, I'm not happy. And then it thinks, well, what used to make me happy? And then it goes out there to try to be happy that way. What if instead you looked at your mind, you said, whoa, slow down. You don't get to run my life. I'm in here. I'm the boss. Be happy. I'm not happy. Learn to be happy. You'll be much happier if you learn to be happy. Instead of saying, I'm not happy, now I have to find the things, I have to figure out with my mind. Oh, now let's just look at this seriously. Your mind already told you I'm not happy. Your mind said I'm depressed. I'm not happy with what? Anything. I can't even imagine I could ever be happy. Okay, so now go to that mind and say, okay, I'm sorry, mind, I'm sorry, I'm not happy. What exactly needs to happen so that you can be happy? How can you go to a mind that says I'm not happy and ask it? It doesn't know happy. It's not happy. Go to a happy mind and say, are you happy? I'm filled with love and joy. What do you need? Nothing. Let's go do anything. Let's have fun. That's what a happy mind says. What does a depressed mind say? I don't know. I can't fit. Maybe I should. Nah, that won't be anything. Why are you going to a broken mind and asking it how to fix itself? By definition, it doesn't know. It doesn't understand. So the purpose of this talk, I haven't even hit yet. What can you do with your mind that improves your life? It's your mind. They're your thoughts. The fact that the mind has these impressions inside, and by default, I'm a computer guy, we always have a default. What does by default mean? If you don't do anything, what will happen if you don't do anything? If you don't do anything, it'll spew up all this garbage that you stored from your past. And in general, what you stored is stuff that bothered you. Any of you go through high school? It was tough, wasn't it? Relationships, this, that, anything. It was tough. So you got all that stuff in there. And you got insecurities. A lot of people trace their stuff back to what happened during different periods of their life. My best friend left me. I didn't even understand why. Well, you were in high school. People have traumatic experiences in junior high and high. They're not even learning how to handle anything. And kids don't treat each other right, and so on. So all of a sudden, you're 33 years old, and you got that stuff still in there, don't you? That's why your mind is the way it is. I highly advise waking up and realizing you don't serve your mind. You don't serve what it says I want and what I don't want, what will make me happy, what makes me sad. Those are just leftover impressions from your past. What do you do instead? Let's talk about how to use a mind in a constructive, positive way. You got one, you might as well use a positive. And you may not like this, but I want you to pay attention to it. I said to you that your experience in life is just what you're experiencing. It's just the sum of these little experiences that you're having at any given moment. That's because you're limiting it to what's coming in through your senses. You're limiting it to your physiological experience, and then your mind gets programmed by that. What I like, what I don't like, what I want it to be. You brought your mind down to the lowest possible denominator, which is what came in through your senses. When he said he loved me, oh my God, I really like that. What should I wear? What can I do to get it said again? So you're basically sitting there trying to get people to be everything to be that it comes in your senses, and then basically you think you're okay. What's another thing you can do? This is drastic. There's a true paradigm shift. I'm going to tell you a secret. Your senses may be limited to what they pick up. They are. They're limited to what's coming in. You can't see what you don't see. You can't hear what you don't hear. Taste, touch, etc., etc. They are limited to what comes in through your senses. Then your mind gets programmed by that. Your mind is not limited to what comes in through your senses. There's sometimes I talk and I want to cry because I really want you to listen to me. Your mind is not limited to what comes in through your senses. You can create any thought you want, anytime you want. Think of Saturn with its rings. You see it? See it spinning around out there? Your senses didn't see that. They had nothing to do with that. Your mind is liberated. It's free from the senses. It does not have to limit the experience of your life to what is coming in through your senses. Your mind can create. It can do all kinds of things. Now, it can do harmful things. It can think there's boogeymen under the bed. Can your mind do that? It can make a horror show out of your life, can't it? There's nothing wrong in your mind. Oh, it's terrible. Nobody likes me. What are you doing? It's making up stuff. Why don't you use the power of your mind? But I want it to be associated with truth. I don't want it to be just, sure you can make whatever you want. That's disassociative. I mean, it's basically, oh, he really loves me. I know he loves me. He just won't talk to me because he loves me so much he can't stand to be in my presence. Look how much he loves me. He's running away. Oh, my God, he loves me. Don't do that. We don't want to be doing that, denial or whatever it is, right? Those are things the mind can do also, but they're still tied to the problems that you stored inside. There are things the mind can do that are transcendent, that are independent, that are broader than this. So the one I like, but you can find others, but I do want you to do this periodically. Did you know that everything we've talked about so far is happening on a tiny little planet spinning in the middle of nowheres? When you leave, opposite the door there's a picture on the wall. It's my family picture, my favorite. I look at it every morning, every evening, and people come by, what are you looking at? It's a blank picture. Well, it's kind of blank, a good 8 by 10 blank picture, but there's this tiny little ball in the middle of the picture. If you look, that is a photograph of planet Earth, not an artist's rendition. It is literally, when Cassini was flying a Saturn, they turned her around at 2 million miles out. Not where the satellites hang out, not the moon. 2 million miles out, it turned around and took a snapshot of home, which, by the way, is difficult to do because the sunlight is everywhere. They have to get it just right. And that is a picture. It's literally a picture of the planet Earth. So what? What do you mean, so what? That's called reality. So it's not true that the only reality you can experience is the moment in front of you. Your mind is capable of taking into consideration this thing called a bigger truth. A truth that transcends this personal junk that we're all caught in, what I like and what I don't like and what so-and-so did. Give me a break. You have this great mind, and that's what you did with it, right? So instead, at least once in a while, and I mean, to me, it's all the time. If I walk outside, we take walks, it's beautiful out in the country, you take a walk, my mind always will sit there and say, it'll stop me, this is what the surface of the planet Earth looks like. Trees, fields, lakes, mountains. That's what the surface of the planet Earth looks like. You didn't do it. I didn't do it. Nobody did it. That's what it's been looking like. That's what it looks like. And don't get into your head, but they're ruining it. No, we said we're going to leave everything outside for right now. The truth of the matter is you're sitting on a tiny little planet, and that's what the surface of the planet looks like. But guess what? I've taught you this before, but there's no way I can stress it enough. 1.3 million planet Earths fit inside the sun. Take the Earth, tiny, put just one star. 1.3 million of the planet Earth fit inside the star. And you're worrying about what? What exactly have you? A run in your stocking? You spilled a little coffee on your pants or your dress? You said hello to somebody and they didn't turn around? Whoa, man, this is getting tough to handle. You're sitting on a planet in the middle of nowheres, and this is what you chose to do with your mind? How about we don't do that with our mind? Or if it does that by default, which it does, we have a higher way we can use our mind. I'm really suggesting you do that. I'm not kidding. That you regularly realize this truth that you have no right to ignore. That you're sitting on a planet that's really tiny, spinning around empty black space. And your mind is making a melodrama out of your life. Your mind is ruining you can't enjoy your life. Look what he said to me. Oh my God, I wonder if he'll like me. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Ever think like that? You go talk to somebody, and then you walk away, and your mind says, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I wonder if they misunderstood that. Should I go back and... No, don't go back and say it. Was that fun? Make for a nice life? No. Why are you doing that? Why are you tolerating that? It's your mind. You get to do with it what you want. Right now you can't because you haven't learned how to. Right now what your mind does is all that garbage I just talked about, all that personal stuff. What do I want? What do I know? I want what I like. Oh my God, I was excited about it. Now I don't get to do it. It's pretty crazy. This mind is capable of, for a moment, during all of that, saying the following. Shh, you're sitting on a planet in the middle of nowheres for a few years. Don't worry, you don't have to stay. You're not going to stay. No one has ever stayed. They did a statistical study of everything that was born. There was a 100% correlation coefficient that whatever was born died. You're no exception. I know you're exceptional, but you ain't accepting that one. So you're sitting on a tiny little planet, spinning in the middle of nowhere for a few years, and you can't handle it, can you? You can't have a good time. You can't just handle it. I'm on a planet in the middle of nowhere, and whatever's going on is going on. That's what's going on. And it doesn't matter what's going on because there's 700 billion other things that are going on I don't know about. So I'm not getting all tied about this one. And you start doing what's called work with yourself. You use your mind constructively. Your mind is not the enemy. Now it is, because you let all these negative impressions get left in there and you're scared and you got to prove yourself, right? You're only happy if everybody's clapping. What if you stood up there and they booed? You're still on a planet in the middle of nowhere, spinning around. Hooray, they booed. It was so much fun. Whoa, how would you like to be like that? Wouldn't that be fun? You don't have to worry ever again for the rest of your life. You enjoy what it's like to be on the planet Earth. It's an amazing place. There's lots of different experiences, lots of different people. And guess what? It happens to be the nicest planet we found. The Hubble is up there. Now the Webb telescope, they've looked at everything for a long time. No one found anything at all. Let's not talk about the majesty of the planet Earth. They didn't find an amoeba. They didn't even find a roach. If they found a roach, it'd be the front page of the New York Times. They found a roach on Mars, right? You got plenty of them. It's a happening place. It's a phenomenal place. It's every minute of every day there's things going on, and you can't handle it. Why? Because of what happened to your mind. Because you're not experiencing reality. You're experiencing what your mind says. That's your reality, what your mind says. If you see two people talking over there and then they turn and walk away, your mind says, they were talking about me. I hope he didn't tell her that. If he told her that, I don't want to see her ever again. What are you doing? You're sitting on a tiny little planet, spinning in the middle of nowheres, being neurotic. And you think the way to not be neurotic is to make sure she wasn't talking about me. I'll go talk about her and find out whether Sally can call her, because I don't want to call her, because that will be embarrassing if she was. Oh my God, what is it, 4D chess or something? What are you figuring out here? Why are you using your mind like this? You can't have a nice life if you're ruining your life with your mind. And you are. And you're saying I can be okay as long as everybody is the way I need them to be and they treat me the way I want to be treated. No. You want to do that, fine. But you come out here, we're not going to do that. When people first started coming out here, way back in, that's the early 70s, I started what was called the I Don't Mind Club. But mind was not a noun, it was a verb. Do you mind if I borrow your car? That is using mind as a verb. In other words, if I borrow your car, is your mind going to say, oh my gosh, you took my car. Why did I lend my car? Or is your mind going to say, sure. Is it going to get verbal? How about the I Don't Mind Club? My mind's not going to do that. Why would I sit on a planet spinning in the middle of nowhere doing that all the time? So one thing you can do with your mind is expand its frame of reference. Right now, the scope of your life is what's coming in through your senses, plus what got impressed on your mind that you didn't like from your past, just this whole personal garbage. What if you think of something impersonal? That's what it's called, the impersonal life. What if I'll take the example of the planet. So I'm sitting here spinning on a planet. Are you? Answer, no. You are, but you're not. You don't ever think about it. You don't ever think of the absolute truth, which is sitting on a little planet spinning in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't even get close. I told you that 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. Okay, well that makes it pretty small, doesn't it? Probably I shouldn't be causing all this trouble. The sun is a star. There are 300 billion stars in your galaxy. That's a lot. And the Earth is, what I told you, 1.3 million Earths fit into one of those stars. And what exactly are you having a problem with? Your mind is so wonderful. It has the ability of expanding your frame of reference. All of a sudden, now that's your reality. That's my reality. They say, you are here. You ever see that? They put the Milky Way galaxy in your little arrow. You are here. And you're there, taking the one star to 300 billion. I taught you once. What does 300 billion mean? Sit in the corner, and 1 second at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count to 300 billion. And come by and tell me when you're finished. 95 lifetimes of 100 years each. And by the way, you can't count. 2,655,422,000,2,512. You can't do that in a second. So you better have a lot more lifetimes. That's just the number of stars, of which yours is one, and your 1.3 million of your Earths fit inside that star. Please, I'm trying to expand your mind. This is what it means to expand your consciousness. You can't expand your consciousness if all you're doing is listening to this mind that's very contractive. What does your mind think about? You. What do I want? What do I not want? What makes me happy? Why did mommy do this? You got all this garbage stored in your mind, and that's all it thinks about. All your mind thinks about is you, your children, your relationship, your car, your thing, your career, what you want. That is really small in relationship to what we're talking about, isn't it? Your mind does not have to do that. Your mind is capable of thinking anything you want if you work with it. And pretty soon, if you work with your mind, you're going to find out that life is much easier to live. Why? Because you didn't limit it down to this tiny little space so that every little thing is ingrown and it's irritable. Oh my God, I have a cowlick on my hair. Was it there before? Did you all see it? What are you doing? Why would you do that? Oh my God, there's a piece of spinach in my tooth. Was it there all day? I'm not going to go to work tomorrow. I'm so embarrassed. What the heck are you doing? How can you tolerate that? I'm begging you to understand. Your mind is telling you this tiny little stuff that is completely irrelevant in the realm of reality. You're on one planet spinning around a galaxy of 300 billion stars, and I didn't finish with you yet. How many galaxies are there? 2 trillion. And what about the spinach in your tooth? Which tooth was it? What are you doing? You get it to where your mind is expansive. I work with it. All right? I said, truth, my mind, I've been doing it for 50 years, all right? I caught on early in 1971, 72 when I first woke up. I said, I'm sitting on a planet. That's the truth. The rest is a bunch of balderdash. All this talk about what should happen and what the people think of you. Oh my God, why do you want to live like that? And so you start working with yourself. And the day you're able to walk out, I don't care if you're in New York City, guess what? If you're in New York City, stop for a second. With all those people running around, all that noise, this is the surface of the planet Earth. If I was E.T., and I was way the heck out there in some galaxy far, far away, Star Wars, and I'm flying around, there's nothing going on. Oh, look at this little blue place down there. I'm going to land down there. And you land in New York City? OMG, are you kidding me? That is what the surface of the planet Earth looks like. Wake up. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing right. It just is. Now, we could talk about when you get that consciousness, that expanded consciousness, but your consciousness is limited to what's going on in your mind. We said it's limited to your mind, your emotions, and what comes through your senses. You've limited your consciousness. Is your consciousness that limited, or is it capable of expanding to where it can experience your view of the galaxy? Your consciousness will go right with you. You're just not just picturing, you actually feel the difference. They talk about the overview effect. You ever heard of that? The astronauts feel when they go up and they see the Earth spinning around. You are perfectly capable of having the overview effect all the time. What's the overview effect? They get back there and look at that planet, and they forget their views and their opinions and their politics, and all they say, oh my God, that's where we live. We better take care of it. And then they look out over space, the darkness, and they have enlightening experiences. Some of them have real deep experiences, like yogic enlightenment type experiences. I met one, Edgar Mitchell, and he told me when he was coming back from the moon, He was in the limb or whatever it was, and the capsule was pulling him behind or something. And for 3 days it took, something like that, to come back. And he was just gazing out the window, and he had the awakened experience that yogis talk about. He merged with the universe. He came back here, his entire life changed. He was, astrophysicist and all that, engineer, and he came down. All he cared about now was spirituality. Because what he said, I merged with the universe. I felt one with all the stars. There was no me for a period of time. How did that happen? He didn't write that off. He came down and founded IONS, Institute of Noetic Sciences, and started studying all this because he had the experience. It was real to him. Your consciousness has no limit. It can expand out to whatever you want to think about. And then ultimately, it doesn't need the thoughts. Now that it's expanded off of you to where it's not limited to this tiny little thing, isn't it embarrassing? All your mind thinks about is you. What do I want? What do I not want? Where do I want to go? Why did he do that to me? Whoa, oh my God. Where it's capable of contemplating the whole thing. So what you do is you start to work with yourself. I just talked about today, I give different talks. I'm focusing now on the fact, sure, I could talk about meditation, I could talk about yoga, I can talk about energy exchange, I can talk about all kinds of things. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about something that's absolutely real and true, which is you're on a tiny little planet spinning in the middle of nowhere. Wake up. Think of that. Pay attention. And so this is an alternative. I'm giving you an alternative way. It's free of charge. It doesn't cost a single thing. It's just something you can do within yourself, which is to expand your frame of reference. Your mind is capable of doing that, and I'm begging you to play with that. So somebody said, well, that just doesn't do it for me. That's because you're not doing it right. It can't not do it for you. Sure, if you're sitting there thinking about so-and-so, and I'm scared about this, and I have a test tomorrow, while you're doing that, you're not going to feel a thing. If you are willing, I told you, we started this conversation by saying, just for this 1 hour, will you leave the mind outside? Will you dare to see something different? If you will let go at least long enough to experience that you're sitting on a planet, if you want to, I used to do it. Here's the planet, it's spinning through space. You're Gulliver the Giant. Sit on it, where the planet is your orb. You're just sitting on top of it, you're really big, and just spin around. Spin around, just sit up top there, look around. Get your head out of yourself. Just look out there and see what's going on. If I ask you, because I like you, what did you do today? If you're listening to me, you'll say, I spun on my axis. One spin on your axis. It started facing this way, and it went around and spun around, and that's all that happened today. Well, what are all the other things? What other things? What other things? Are you telling me that you look down so finite? You didn't even see the ocean? You didn't see the continents? The states? The cities? All you saw was this 1 inch, a tiny little fraction of a thing was coming into your senses, and that's what your day was? That is not your day. You're on a planet that spun on its axis. It rotated on its axis 360. That's what you did today, and yesterday and the day before. I'm begging you, work on expanding your frame of reference beyond yourself, because you're getting an ingrown mind, an ingrown toenail, and it hurts, doesn't it? It's difficult to live with. It has all these notions and concepts and views and opinions and preferences and problems. It's like you can't get depressed if you're sitting on top of a planet spinning on an axis. What's there to get depressed about? Nothing. You get depressed because it's not doing what you want it to do down there, way down there. What are you doing? Why are you looking at it that way? When your mind is capable of breaking free of that, opening up. And then if you get past that, you actually start to see the galaxy, you're going to start to feel something. Seriously, if you do this, I'm serious. The planet you can handle. Here I am sitting on the planet. When you start doing the entire Milky Way galaxy, 300 billion stars, and you look at that, and just for a moment you realize, oh my God, that's reality. That's been out there for billions and billions of years, and I'm sitting here in my little lifetime paying attention to only this tiny little thing. You will start to feel something, a freedom, an openness, a liberation that you're not used to feeling. Only if everything goes exactly the way you want, so you're not bothering yourself, which you're always bothering yourself. There's nothing to bother yourself about when you look at the galaxy and you start to feel God. That's what great ones have told you. What happens because you let go of yourself. That's what you've done. You let go of the concept of self, of personal self. and you're experiencing reality. And then, for a moment, if you can get there, think about 2 trillion. Oh my God. 2 trillion galaxies of hundreds of billions of stars each. What are you doing with your mind? It should be against the law. I don't have to lock you up. It already locked you up. It locked you up into yourself. So you're capable of very, very great things, but you have to be willing to work with yourself. Now I'm going to ask you a question. How much of a gift was that mind? Life gave you this mind that's capable of understanding everything I just talked about. You're capable of doing that. And what are you doing with it? It's like taking a car, driving the highway, and playing bumper cars with it. I know what you're supposed to do with it. Or I'll give you a computer. You're a 16, 18, or 16-year-old kid. I'll give you this beautiful computer with a big monitor. And you go out on the web, X-rated, dark web, get yourself all screwed up. No, the computer's capable of higher things than that. It's the same thing with your mind. There is no limit to the capability of your mind, except what you're doing with it. Now, do you understand why I'm talking to you like this? Work with yourself. Take your mind off yourself. Expand it. Do it a little bit at a time. Whatever you need to do. Just start working with what your mind's capable of. Very great things. And you're going to find out you get liberated. You get free. All of a sudden you feel joy and love and freedom. All right, now, real quickly, because we're done. But I live here. Fine. Live here. Have fun. You should constantly walk around saying, I'm on the planet Earth. There's a whole universe, but I happen to be on the planet Earth. What can I do to help? What can I do to raise people? What can I do to help the planet? Sure, by all means, of course. But keep your mind out there. Filled with love, filled with joy, filled with the expansiveness of reality. Help. Serve. Do things. You don't need anything personally. Why would you? How would you need anything? So you come down here and help out. There. So that is called the impersonal life. That's what it's been called through time. There's the personal life, you know what that is. Then there's this thing called the impersonal life. Your mind is capable of taking you there, isn't it? Usually we talk about the mind being a problem. Well, here's where the mind is not a problem. Here the mind is a very, very great thing, but you need to raise it. Work with yourself. Jagrative.